All right, guys, let's talk about this topic that there's probably only a million videos on YouTube about this. I did a video on this probably 7 years ago, and one of you in the comments just recently reminded me of that old video. And I thought, wow, that's really cool that you remembered that and brought it back up. So I thought, well, let's do a fresh take on it, although it's going to be the same take. So before we look at the numbers behind me, and I'll flip around and we'll look at those, but when it comes to carrying a sidearm for, I call it mountain carry, right? You're probably going to need it more for a dirtbag human than for a critter. But if you do need it for a critter, there's a couple things that I've learned over the years. Weight matters. I've carried big 44 mags, Ruger, Red Hawk Alaskans, Smith & Wesson 629s, big 44 mag revolvers. And because of the backpack system I use and the hip belt system needed for hunting packs, it's really hard to work a big heavy revolver into that. I can't use a shoulder holster because it interferes with the pack straps. I don't like putting it on the hip belt because it just really makes that an uneven weight, I guess. So those are big and heavy, and that's always been a concern for me packing a huge revolver. Now, if I'm just going for a short hike and, that's not an issue, I might consider a revolver. But a semi-auto handgun, a pistol is going to always be lighter than a big revolver. Even fully loaded with ammo, it's going to be lighter than the revolver empty. So that's just a consideration. And because of that, I've tended towards the semi-autos and not always super high capacity ones. One of my favorite mountain carry guns is a Glock 36. Which is a single stack 45 auto 6+1. And it's light, compact, and I really like that gun. So weight is a consideration. Overall bulk is a consideration. Semi-auto pistols are narrower and revolvers are fatter because of the cylinder and all that. So something to take into account. But, more important than that, guys, this is just something I've observed over the years with myself and with watching a lot of other people shoot. Shooting a revolver in double action mode, which is what you would be doing in an encounter of some kind. Certainly if a bear is charging you or something like that, you're not going to do single action. You're going to do double action. And I have not come across many people that can fire a big, heavy double action revolver in double action mode under duress very well. It's hard to do, okay? It's something that I'm sure there's people that can do it. It would require a pretty big, strong person with strong forearms and hands that practiced in double action mode a lot. Okay, that trigger pull is so heavy and there's just a lot going on there to make that hammer go back and then strike the primer. So the opposite of that is I've seen people be better in terms of repeatability, consistency, and accuracy with a pistol, a semi-automatic pistol. Yes, some of them have hard trigger pulls, the striker fired ones. Hammer fired ones can have very light pulls, but generally speaking, most people are more capable with a semi-automatic pistol in terms of getting shots off quickly than they are with a double action revolver. That's my observation. It holds true for me. So I just wanted to share that. And for that reason alone, I think unless you're one of the 1%ers that can really handle a big heavy revolver in double action mode, I think a semi-automatic pistol is a better choice for mountain carry. Okay, let's look at these numbers. Another consideration, guys, for carry that I think is important, and this does tie into a person's ability to deliver the bullets in the right place, okay? If you're great with a 44 mag double action, you know, it's going to do more damage than either the 45 or the 10 mm, okay? But if you're not, and maybe in some ways quantity's better than quality under duress, let's take a look at what that might look like. So in a 44 mag, you could roughly get 1,200 foot-pounds. I put plus or minus because I know somebody's going to come on here and say, well, I get 1,400 or 1,500 foot-pounds. Yes, you can. But with most carry 44 mags, a 3-inch or 4-inch barrel, and the typical ammo that's out there, even the really good stuff, a good average is maybe around 1,200 foot-pounds. You get 6 shots. So you're carrying a total with you available at your fingertips of 7,200 foot-pounds of stored energy. Okay, let's go to the 45 ACP. I actually love the 45 for mountain carry. I think frontal diameter matters, and I like the idea of the almost 1/2 inch diameter with full metal jacket flat points. I think it's a real stopper. Again, 450 foot-pounds plus or minus, depending on the ammo, depending on the barrel length and all those things. 13+1 is available in several semi-automatic pistols. So that's a total of 6,300 foot-pounds of stored energy, so 900 less than the 44 mag. I happen to shoot the 45 auto really well. The recoil pulse on it is comfortable for me, and I shoot it really well. I have a Glock 21 that I just absolutely love. Gen 5, smooth. Let's look at 10 mm, okay? This has been all the hype for several years, and it's something that a lot of people have it's the #1 seller, I think, in bear country, which is great. There's a reason for that. You can get about 700 foot-pounds plus or minus out of some of those loads, depending on the gun, depending on the load. A lot of 10s come in 15+1. And so you're getting 11,200 foot-pounds of total stored energy on your hip with the 10 mm. So let's maybe talk about all that. You know, there'll never be time to reload during one of these situations. You're not going to pop a cylinder open, eject the brass, put new rounds, even in a speed loader, into a cylinder while a bear's chewing on your leg or you're running from a cougar or whatever. So you have what you have, okay? Before the encounter, until the encounter's over, you have what you have. And that's another reason I like having more capacity in the mountains. 13+1, 15+1. There's more room for error if you didn't connect, and if you can keep shooting, there's more room for error. So it's another reason I think a semi-automatic handgun's a better choice. Now let's talk about reliability. You know, I get it, right? That in theory, the moving parts of a semi-auto are less reliable than a revolver. I can't remember the last time one of my Glocks failed to feed or failed to eject. I can't remember the last time one of my 1911s did. My Smith M&Ps, even my Tauruses. I don't remember the last time they failed on me. If you're using high quality ammo and you're not limp wristing, and I'll bet if a bear was chewing on you, you wouldn't limp wrist. The odds of a failure on that are, they're acceptable to me, acceptable odds. I guess I'd look at law enforcement, right? We're talking about people's lives on the line every day, and they all carry semi-autos. So properly maintained, great ammo, and field test them, guys. Don't go buy a box of ammo and just load it in your gun and go to the mountains. Buy 2 boxes, go to the range, shoot a box. Make sure your gun likes that. The feeding and everything is great, okay? For example, my little Glock 36 doesn't like 185 grainers in 45 auto. They don't feed as well, so I don't use them. I know that, so I don't use them. But if you just went and bought a box and ran to the mountains and don't know, verify it first, guys, obviously. But that's my take on semi-automatic versus revolver for mountain carry, and I look forward to your comments.